It's a great pleasure and honor for me to moderate this opening session on behalf of the PATLIB2012 committee and the PATLIB team. I would like to address you a very warm welcome. This session has two parts. There are two opening addresses and three presentations, keynote addresses. For the first part, we have here Mr. Guy Robinson from the British Intellectual Property Office.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the UK, welcome to Manchester, and welcome to PATLIB 2012. It really is a wonderful year to be here in the UK. We have Jubilee celebrations coming up this weekend, and we also have the Olympics, of course, coming up July, August time. I understand the torch will be in the Greater Manchester region tomorrow, but to be in the city centre you have to wait to the 24th of June, so no sloping off. I'd like to extend my thanks to all those that have helped to put together this conference and who have contributed not just to the organisation, but to also pulling together such an enlightening programme of talks and workshops. My thanks especially to Valerie Gray and her team at the EPO, and to Maria Lambert, the UK PATLIB chair, and her team. So, by way of introduction, my name is Guy Robinson. I am Head of Business Support Policy at the UK Intellectual Property Office, and we are based down in Newport, South Wales. I think I'm a pretty well-travelled man, and bear with me, this is going somewhere. I've been sort of across Europe. I was lucky enough to go to the committee meeting for this event in Vienna. I've been to the States. I've travelled all across the UK. But I hadn't, until yesterday, been to Manchester. I was keen to find out what Manchester offered as a venue. So I dug around a bit and found the Manchester City website and found that, well, frankly, there was an awful lot that I could do that would entertain me if I were to visit socially. I could go along and see Great Britain play the USA at basketball, which I confess I thought might be a bit of an unfair matching. But I could even cycle. Like there's the Greater Manchester Cycle. That looked a pretty interesting thing. I could get the heart rate going. And then there were cultural events. Something called Screenfields really appealed to me. I could go sit in a park and watch a film in the open air. My sort of quest continued for information, and I found MOSI, the Museum of Science and Industry. Now, had I read my programme more closely, I would have realised we're eating there tomorrow night. However, you know, my interest was then triggered. My technical nature sort of started to come to the front, and I dug a bit more and discovered that the MOSI building was originally part of Liverpool Road Railway Station. Now, apparently, that's the world's oldest surviving terminal railway station. So this was a hub where people would come and have to get off the train, essentially. I started to wonder what other science and technology ties Manchester had, and discovered this was a place where scientists first split the atom, and the place where the first stored program computer was developed. As with most internet searching I find, eventually I found myself to Wikipedia and a quick summary of the growth of Manchester. Apparently, and I'll quote directly, Manchester began to expand at an astonishing rate around the turn of the 19th century. Manchester's urbanisation was brought on by a boom in the textile manufacturing, and during the Industrial Revolution resulted in it becoming the world's first industrialised city. In 1894, the Manchester Shipping Canal was built, creating the port of Manchester. That's interesting geographically. So I really liked this sort of gem of information, this piece of information I've drawn together. And it made me think that actually this is an ideal venue for the PATLIB networking event. Manchester, it seems to me, have a history of scientific discovery, ingenuity, entrepreneurialism. But more than that, it made itself a network hub for these activities. And I think that really symbolises what the PATLIB network is and can be. Manchester then, I think, gives us a great backdrop against which some progressive thinking and sharing of best practice and expertise can take place. An opportunity for you to step back from your day job and look at what the PATLIB network offers individually and collectively. I think looking to adapt and further improve the PATLIB network is a timely and relevant course of action, looking to deliver services beyond simply pattern information and reviewing the way your centres are run. I think this offers a real opportunity. So why do I care what the network does? Well, the UK Intellectual Property Office is committed to helping businesses and individuals to understand what IP is and to help them derive value from their IP. Now, at this point, I will say that actually I'm talking about intellectual property, intellectual assets, and not simply about intellectual property rights. We want users of the IP system to make informed, strategic use of their intellectual property. Why? Well, we know that businesses that use IP have a greater growth potential and a greater chance to firm survival. Our economics team have been very busy, and this is the sort of information we're now generating. Great ideas, properly protected, help small and medium-sized enterprises to compete with larger, established companies and to grow. A strong trademark, for example, supports effective marketing and brand development. And evidence shows that use of trademarks is associated with better innovation, growth, and productivity. These benefits apply to small, young companies as well as large, established ones. A trademark can help SMEs to compete effectively within a market. Similarly, use of patents is associated with greater knowledge creation and better use of knowledge within firms. Only yesterday I discovered a statistic that 5% of global trade is based on IP licensing. Now that's a big market. However, we also know that few businesses take even basic action to manage potentially important intangible assets. As a result, we find that many SMEs are struggling to exploit their own ideas and, as they're unable to protect their IP adequately, are at risk of having others copy them, or of missing out on just big opportunities. We know IP can present both risks and opportunities then, but for businesses of all kinds, and we want to help businesses manage these better. Well, the UK Intellectual Property Office has a comprehensive range of products and services that we offer to businesses. For example, we have things like an IP health check tool that can help users identify their IP and how they might go about commercialising it. We also undertake workshops and events. However, we are committed to enabling businesses to find out information about IP when it's relevant to them. And for that, we need to make sure we work in partnerships with organisations that provide relevant advice at the right time. So that's when the business needs it, not when they stumble across the Intellectual Property Office. We're also, frankly, very aware that we don't know it all and rely on partnership working to draw on the knowledge and expertise of others in relaying IP messages to businesses. We've recently published a paper entitled From Ideas to Growth, in which we outline much of this future work and how we're going to build on these ideas. Within this paper, we outline the work we've undertaken with the UK PATLIB network to further strengthen the regional support that already exists. We've offered IP masterclass training for advisors at all the PATLIB centres in the UK, increasing their skills to include wider IP and commercial advice. My colleague, Sally Long, will be delivering a workshop on the IP masterclasses in tomorrow's sessions. In the future, and we haven't forgotten this, we've also intended to offer additional business training to the centres. Now, in the UK, the British Library, based in London, took the opportunity some 6 years ago to really power up their business and IP offering, creating the Business and IP Centre, and Isabel Oswald will talk to you more about that in a moment. This centre forms part of the PATLIB network. The IPO has given seed funding to the Business and IP Centre to help them develop what we're calling a blueprint model, extending the experience they've developed to other members of the network. This will include a myriad of operational information, including looking at local market needs, level of advice and training, and crucially, building networks and partnerships that offer both wider business advice and help access financial support for their operations. I suspect the way you individually do things will be very different, but I suspect many of you are wrestling with similar issues. The subjects covered at this conference and the emphasis placed on ensuring not only sound IP advice but wider business advice around that IP sits very comfortably with what I think we are all trying to achieve. So, welcome. Thank you very much for coming, and please remember the spirit of this event is one of networking. So take the opportunity to find out what others do. Sit next to someone different, talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to, and see what you can learn. Thank you very much.